Hello, fellow golfers, and welcome back to Senior to Scratch, and especially welcome to season number 3. Well, I finished watching the Masters last weekend. Perfect grass, azaleas in full bloom, birds chirping, and Rory picking up his second consecutive green jacket. Honestly, that's when my own golf excitement always kicks into high gear. So then I looked out the window to soak it all in. There was snow flying sideways and a minus 20 Celsius wind chill. Happy tax day to my American friends, by the way. I had to file south of the border this year too, so we're all in this together. The good news, the forecast says we'll be on the right side of zero by the weekend. The course opening is penciled in for the 27th, and I've already blocked it off. Okay, so this is the year I get to scratch. I know. I've been saying that every April for a few years running now. Last season I did improve by a whole tenth of a stroke, finishing at 4.1. I guess I'll take it. The honest challenge here is that I'm turning 54 in a few months, and gaining distance doesn't really get any easier. But for the first time in a while, I feel like I've got some wind at my back heading into the season. I've fully settled into the new PXG irons and the lab putter. I've wrapped up my online swing lessons last year, and my goal this season is to play golf, not golf swing. Someone, definitely not Einstein despite what the internet says, once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So here's what I've done differently this off-season. First is simulator play. I've been on the sim twice a week all winter, and this is genuinely the best I've played indoors, including a handful of underpower rounds. And yes, I know that this translates directly to the course every single time. My sarcasm is fully intentional. I've properly mapped out every club on TrackMan, carry distance, dispersion tendencies, all of it. All of that data is going to genuinely be useful when I'm making decisions on the course rather than just guessing. I did go on a Mesquite golf trip. The booze was flowing, and my worst round over 5 days was an 80. The best was 1 over. I'll take that as a W. On the mental side, I've worked through Dr. Justice's and Dr. Larden's audiobooks, went through Josh Nichols' pre-shot routine, and read Michael Leonard's material on the same topic. I've also been dialing in a more consistent putting stroke with the help of Ross McLeod. And I've been doing a lot of chipping work, experimenting with different clubs. So once the course opens, I can start charting out actual carry, roll, and trajectory numbers. So what's the plan for this season? Well, I've accepted the fact that I'm not going to carve out 1 hour long practice sessions during the season. I'd rather play in our short Calgary window. So any practice time will definitely go towards short game and approach shots, which are statistically my weakest areas according to the Decade app. I've also been following Dan Grieve and his book on short game, and he's got a number of little pressure challenges that I'm going to try to do on the chipping green and putting green. Speaking of Decade, there's a dispersion feature that I'll be using for tee shot aiming points. And with my focus shifting from swing to target this year, I'm expecting more mental bandwidth for proper target selection and visualization. I've also joined a season-long weekly competition with some of the best players at the club, who are some of the best players in the province, frankly. 8 of the 48 guys in this league are plus handicaps, and the format uses 75% of handicaps with a maximum 14. So this is going to put me up against players I'd normally never compete alongside. And there's a skins format where you have to validate with a net par or better on the following hole. All of these things are the kind of pressure that builds real tournament game. In my past seasons, sometimes I was giving up 20 plus strokes to golfers my own age or slightly older, watching my birdies, the few birdies that I was getting, get canceled by even bogeys. So this new environment is completely different that I'll be playing in. I'm also going to play more rounds with my son. He's a scratch golfer himself with PGA Tour level ball speed, so I can be 50 yards behind him at times off the tee. That's uncomfortable, which is exactly the point. We'll be playing from the tips at over 7,200 yards, a 76 rating, 143 slope. And according to my AI caddy, a 76 out there is roughly a 0 differential. I've played from the tips exactly once in the last 13 years, so this experience will be humbling and useful. And hey, if by some miracle I get down to a 1.5 index and land in the championship flight at the club champs, I'd be more proud of finishing last in that flight than winning the first flight, especially if I get to compete against my own son. But I'm getting way, way, way ahead of myself. So, on the next topic is last year I played my first tournament outside the club. It was a provincial amateur one-day qualifier, and I did a podcast on this in detail. I was even par through 9. Then we got put on the clock for no apparent reason. There was no one behind us. And then I proceeded to shoot, I can't even remember, 9 or 10 over coming in. Missed the cut, as did my son. But it was the best learning experience I've had in years. Not to rush, to trust the routine, and don't get overconfident at the turn. This year I've entered a full slate of one-day qualifiers. The provincial amateur again, the mid-amateur for 25 and over, and the mid-master for 40 plus. And if you've seen Stick on Netflix, that's essentially my long-term vision. Senior events around the country. I'm a couple of years away from the 55 and over category, but that's the goal on the horizon. Well, I'm writing this conclusion on a different day than the intro, and it is finally the weekend, and now it's closing in on the 60s outside, so almost 20 degrees Celsius. Of course, there's another snowstorm forecast for next week, and the driving range, which was supposed to be open today, is still closed. Golf in Calgary, everyone. I'm going to keep the fingers crossed and get out there as soon as humanly possible and keep you posted. So until next time, enjoy your time on the links.